What's going on, everybody? In today's video, we're going to be going over the candle range theory, which is one of the most important concepts in trading for finding out where the market wants to move. So let's get right into the video. So what the candle range theory is, we're going to basically have a sequence of 3 candles, and the first one is just a regular candle with a wick high and a wick low, and this is where our first candle range theory levels come in. So you're going to draw a line at the high of the first candle and also at the low of this candle. Now all we're looking for is price to come and break above either the high or low of this first candle right here, but this part right here is the most important part of this concept, so make sure you're listening. We want to make sure that the body of the candle, which is this colored part right here, does not close above the high of this first candle. So basically all I'm looking for is the wick of the candle to take out the high and the body of the candle to close under the high. Now if this happens, the second step of the candle range theory is down. If price does not close below the high, then the second step is not there and this setup will not work. So after we have the first candle and the second candle takes out the high of that candle, we're going to move on right into the third step. Now go on to the second candle and draw a line at the low of this candle. Now let's get into the last step of this concept. So after price takes out the high, price will automatically be attracted to the low of this candle right here. And there's a very simple reason for that happening. So if you guys remember from my other videos, the market always moves from one level of liquidity to another level of liquidity. So if we take out the liquidity at the high of this candle, the market is automatically attracted to the next level of liquidity, which is going to be at the low of the candle. So that right there is the candle range theory. Now I did forget to mention one thing, and that's the time frame for looking at this setup. So you want to find this setup on the daily or 4-hour time frame, and then for actually entering the trade, we're going to drop down to a lower time frame like the 1 or 5 minutes. So when price breaks the low of this middle candle, that's when we start looking for a trade on the lower time frame. If price does not break below the low of this middle candle, then there is no trade opportunity there. So the setup has to have all 3 steps complete for it to actually work out. We first need to take out the high with the wick. We then need price to break under the low of this middle candle, and once that happens, we drop down to a lower time frame and take an entry. So let's take a look at some real examples of this setup in the live markets. So here we are on NQ, and what do we see on this candle right here? Price takes out the high of this candle right here, and notice how we don't close the candle above that high. So the first step of the candle range theory is done. Now we're going to mark out the low of the candle as well, and this is where our target is going to be for the market to move down to. And we're also going to draw a line at the low of this candle right here. Now we have the daily time frame, so now what I want to do is drop down to a lower time frame and look for any entries that I can take for a move down to this low. So here we are on the lower time frame, and there's a very nice setup that we can see, which is a break of structure and a perfect fair value gap setup right here. So now that I understand that the market wants to move lower, the last step is to wait for an entry and take a trade to the lows. So price comes into the fair value gap right here, and we'll take our entry on this candle with a stop loss right above the high and a target at the low of that daily candle. So let's take a look at how this setup plays out. So right here we get an absolutely perfect move down to the lows using that concept. So let's take a look at some more examples so you guys see it a little bit more clearly. So here we are on the daily time frame once again, and what do we see? Price takes out the low of this candle, and the colored part of the candle, which is the body, closes above the low. So now I automatically understand that price wants to move to this high of this candle. So we're going to draw a line at the high of this candle, and once price breaks it on the lower time frame, that's when we take an entry for a move to this high. So now that we've got all of that figured out, let's drop down to a lower time frame and look for a trade. So right here we have another perfect setup where price takes out the liquidity, and we also get a very nice fair value gap to take our entry. So we can take our entry right in the fair value gap with a stop loss right below the low of this candle, and again we're going to use the high of that daily candle as our target for exiting this trade. So this right here is a perfect setup, and we should get a move right back up to those highs. So let's play that out and see what happens. So again we get another perfect move right back up to that candle range theory high. Now the setup should be very clear by now, but let's take a look at another example so it's even more easier to understand. So once again we're on the daily time frame, and price takes out the high of this first candle. So what do I expect to happen next? Price is attracted to the low of this candle right here. Should be very easy to see by now. We're just marking out the high and low. Whichever level gets taken out, we're looking to play to the opposite end. So I'm also going to mark out a line at the low of this candle, and once that breaks on the lower time frame, that's when I'll look to take a trade for a move to this low. So we've got all of that figured out on the higher time frame. Now we're going to drop down to a lower time frame and see if there's a trade we can take. So price broke below the low of that middle candle, and now all we look for is a setup for a trade we can take down to these lows right here. Right here we have another perfect setup, which is a liquidity sweep and a fair value gap like this one right here. So now that the lower time frame has a very nice entry model, we're going to hop in that trade right away. So our stop loss will go above the high of this candle, and we're going to target the low of that daily candle that we used for finding our candle range theory. So now let's play this setup out and take a look at exactly what happens. So again, we catch another perfect low risk high reward trade just by identifying our candle range theory levels. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. I will be going over more concepts in my live classes in my Discord that are free and available to everyone to join every single Wednesday. So if you guys want to join in and ask questions on any of these concepts, I pinned the Discord link in the comments below. So feel free to join in and ask me any questions you have or anything you need help with. So everyone take care, and I'll see you guys back in the next video.